We're going to start talking today about coordinate graphing, and you have most likely done this before in elementary school, but you only used it with negative or with positive numbers rather. What we're going to do now is we're going to start looking at it when you include negative numbers as part of your ordered pairs. So this is very similar to what you've already done. It's just adding in another element of what we do when we have negative coordinates. So this is what's called a coordinate plane, and a coordinate plane is a plane surface, plane P-L-A-N-E, and what that means is it's a flat surface that continues on and on forever. So I could extend far beyond what's shown here, but obviously I can't go on and on forever. So this is what a coordinate plane looks like, and it's made of two axes. Those are the bold lines that cross one another. Those two axes meet at a point called the origin. So this point right here where they meet is called the origin. And it has an ordered pair of 0, 0, which we'll talk about more in a moment. And what it is basically is it's the point where the two number lines cross one another. So we have a number line here. And this number line is called the x-axis. And then we also have a vertical number line. And this number line is called the y-axis. One way you can remember that is I like to think of the tail on the y, reminding me that the y-axis goes up and down. And I've also heard before y points to the sky. That's a way to remember it as well. So when we look at a coordinate plane, we do need to think about putting numbers with it so that we can actually find a location on the coordinate plane. So we count from the origin because this is 0 on both our x and our y axis. So from the origin, as we count toward the right, our numbers are going to get bigger. So we're going to have 1, 2, notice I'm numbering the lines, not the boxes, 3, 4, 5, 6, and if I numbered to the left, going from 0, counting backward, those would be negative. So -1, -2, -3, -4, -5, -6, and so forth and so on. And I can also number the y-axis. Now, the y-axis, again, goes up and down. So from the origin, if I count up, it should make sense that that's going to be a positive. Up is a positive word. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And going down from the origin is going to be a negative, going to be negative numbers. So -1, -2, -3, -4, and -5. Now, we can actually graph ordered pairs anywhere on the coordinate plane on the coordinate plane that we want to. And an ordered pair, for example, could look like this. We could graph the ordered pair 4, 3. Here, we go from the origin, we count forward 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then up 3, 1, 2, 3. This is the ordered pair, or this is the point for the ordered pair 4, 3. The first number is called the x-coordinate because it tells us how far to go to the left or right, so how far along the x-axis. And the second coordinate, the 3, is called the y-coordinate because it tells us how far to go up or down. In other words, we count up 3 on the y-axis. So that's the ordered pair, that's where the ordered pair 4, 3 would be located. That one should be one with which you're familiar because that's made of two positive numbers, a +4 and a +3, an ordered pair with two positives. Now, we can have ordered pairs with negatives. For example, -3, -3, +1 would mean go backward 3, 1, 2, 3, and then go up 1. So that would be -3, +1. Now, if you notice, the coordinate plane really splits our, or the axes rather really split our coordinate plane into 4 sections. So when we look at that and we think about how it's split into 4 sections, you should be able to see 4 sections right there, how it's split into 4 sections. So we're going to call this section here quadrant 1. And that's everything, basically, everything that you can see that is in this section is all quadrant 1. Quadrant 2 would be over here. Quadrant 3 is going to be here in that whole section, and quadrant 4 is going to be in this section. And I can go through and I can label each of those. Now, one thing that's important to note is that you can tell what an ordered pair is going to look like that goes in a specific quadrant because you can look at what parts of the x and y axis make that quadrant. For example, quadrant 1 is made up of positive x's and positive y's. So our x values are going to be positive and our y values are going to be positive in quadrant 1. In quadrant 2, however, we're going to use negative x's and positive y's. So all ordered pairs in quadrant 2 are going to have a negative x and a positive y. In quadrant 3, all of my points are going to have a negative x and a negative y because those are the parts of the axes that make up that quadrant. So negative x and negative y. And quadrant 4 would have a positive x and a negative y because those are the parts of the x and y axis that make up that quadrant. Now, I am going to ask you to try to graph these points and tell what quadrant they're in, and then take a moment and check and see if you have the right answers. I'm going to do the first couple with you, though. Point A, if we want to see where point A is located, then from the origin, I have to go backward 1, 2, and then go down 1, 2, 3. So that's going to be a negative 2, negative 3, and it puts us in quadrant 3. Point B, I always start at the origin, and to get to point B, I'm going to have to go forward. Remember, I always have to go forward or backward first, and then up or down. So forward, 1, 2, 3, and then down, 1, 2, 3, 4. So positive 3, negative 4, and that's going to put me in quadrant 4. Pause while you continue, and then when you're done, hit play and check your work. All right, here should be your answers. Now, I want you to notice point D and point H are not in any quadrant. That's because they are on an axis. If a point is on an axis, it is not in any quadrant. Now, let's do the opposite and try to graph some points. So if I'm going to try to graph some points, I want to put point J at 4, 5. So from the origin, I'm going to count forward 4 and then up 5. Forward because the 4 was a positive and up because the 5 is a positive. And remember, again, I always do my x-axis first and then my y-axis. So forward 1, 2, 3, 4, and then up 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Right here is going to be point J. Point K at negative 4, 0 means from the origin, I go backward 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then don't go up, don't go down. So I don't go anywhere as far as up or down. So that's going to be point K. Take a moment, try the other 3. When you're done, advance and see if you've got it correct. So make sure to pause, and then when you're done, hit play and check your work. All right, so here's where those points should have been. That has hopefully given you a good overview of coordinate graphing. What we're going to look at next is ways we can use the coordinate graph to do reflections and finding distances and things like that. But before you can do that, hopefully you have gotten all these basics down.